You're eating in a calorie deficit. You're prioritizing your protein. You're getting your steps in and you're lifting weights. So why have you still got belly fat and love handles? Why aren't you losing fat from the areas you want to? Well, that's exactly the question I'm going to answer for you today. But in case you've landed on this video by chance and have absolutely no idea who I am, my name's Doug and I've spent the last 6 years helping hundreds of men get in the best shape of their life. I've seen every fat loss mistake in the book, and more importantly, I know exactly how to fix them. So full screen the video and let's lock in. Most guys think that if they hammer their abs in the gym, then the fat there will magically vanish. But then they get frustrated that their lower belly fat won't shift. The truth is, spot reduction of fat is a myth. No amount of planks or crunches will target your belly fat. Your body pulls fat from where it wants, not from where you want. And where it pulls fat from is determined by two things. And one of them is your genetics. That's why you can have two guys who are both at 15% body fat look completely different. One guy might hold all their fat on their legs or their back, whereas the other holds it all on their belly. Both technically have 15% body fat, but they look completely different. Either way, fat loss is like peeling an onion. You have to take off every layer in order. And unfortunately for most people, the fat on your face, your arms, and your legs is normally the first to go, while the belly and love handles are almost always the most stubborn and the last to go. So the takeaway here is that you and I both lose fat systematically, and the stubborn areas are always the last to go. Saying that, while you can't target belly fat specifically, you can train the muscles underneath it. So getting strong abs won't necessarily burn the belly fat. In fact, it might actually slow the process down because they're small muscles, and so the exercises that you're doing on them aren't necessarily burning that many calories versus if you were to do squats or deadlifts or pull-ups or chest press or something like that, the compound movements which we talked about in other videos, but they will make you look sharper when the fat finally comes off from the belly. So I'm not saying to avoid doing ab work. I'm just saying that don't expect 1,000 crunches a day to reveal your abs. The other factor that determines where you lose fat from is your hormones. And the unfortunate truth is that certain hormones, including cortisol, testosterone, and insulin, dictate where you store your fat. For example, the more stressed out you are, the higher your cortisol level is. The higher your cortisol level is, the more likely you are to hold on to belly fat. Similarly, the more sleep deprived you are, the lower your testosterone is going to be. The lower your testosterone is, more likely you are to develop moobs and soft arms. And the reason that that's unfortunate is, despite what some gurus will tell you, you can't manage your hormones. But if you're serious about losing that stubborn fat, you can clean up your habits. So if you find yourself struggling with stress and sleep, which in themselves are a vicious cycle, here are the 5 habits that are going to have the biggest and the most immediate impact. Cut out caffeine after midday, spend more time walking outside, put your phone down at night, stop eating 3 hours before bed, and cut out alcohol for a few weeks. We have to remember that caffeine is a drug and it has a half-life of 6 hours. That means after 6 hours, there is still half of the dosage in your system. So if you're still drinking caffeine at 4 p.m., half of it is still in your system at 10 p.m. And that's very important because one of the things that caffeine does is blocks your body's ability to produce melatonin, which is your sleep hormone. Spending more time walking outside activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is a part of your autonomic nervous system, which is linked to rest and digestion. This has a direct link to reducing your cortisol and helping speed up your metabolism and your digestion. The blue light from phones, a little bit like caffeine, stops the production and release of melatonin, which is your sleep hormone, and eating in itself is a metabolic process. Now, any metabolic process is going to raise your heart rate. But if you want to be getting a good night's sleep, we need your heart rate coming down to a resting level, which is why stopping eating 3 hours before bed is going to be very helpful, not just for the quantity of sleep you get, but the quality of the sleep that you get. And alcohol, I mean, how much do I really need to say on this? We all know it wrecks our sleep quality, jacks up our cravings, increases the amount of inflammation in our body, and destroys our motivation to do hard things. Now, I'm not for 1 minute saying that you have to cut out everything in your life, that you enjoy it forever. I'm just saying that if you're serious about losing that stubborn fat and you want to get lean this summer, then introducing these habits, for at least reframing them and changing them up a little bit in the short term, is going to have the most immediate and the biggest impact. You can't manage your hormones, but you can influence them by cleaning up your lifestyle. But what if you are losing fat? What if you are doing everything right? What if the scales are coming down, but you don't feel like your belly is shrinking? Well, I've got good news for you and bad news for you. The good news is you're doing everything right, whereas the bad news is You just need to be a little bit more patient. Fat loss never happens in a straight line. As I said earlier in the video, your face, your arms, and your legs will always lean out first. The first challenge of a fat loss phase is all about building the physical habits, the deficit, the steps, the water, the workouts, the protein, and so on. But the second challenge is entirely mental. You have to do those physical habits long enough and be consistent enough with them to see the results. And that's what holds most guys back. It's not knowing what to do. It's not doing it for long enough. So many guys freak out and quit or jump ship to a new plan after 3 weeks. And this is why data is so important. It removes emotion from the equation. It holds you accountable, and it makes it so much easier for you to stay consistent, because trust me, your brain is just waiting to trip you up. You want to be relying on data and not your feelings. So that means you want to be tracking as many metrics as you possibly can, whether that's your movement, so your steps, or your workouts in the gym, your sleep, or your nutrition, so your calories, your macros, or how much water you're drinking. And I will always encourage you, when you're in a fat loss phase, to weigh yourself first thing every morning. What you don't want to be doing is weighing yourself every other Sunday on an evening or something like that. Random weigh-ins will give you random readings. But you also have to remember that sometimes the fat is coming off, but you're not necessarily seeing it on the scales. This is why you also want to be looking out for how your clothes are fitting. Is your shirt fitting better? Are you tightening your belt another notch? Or have you hit a PR in the gym? All three of those are progress too, so don't ignore it. But at the end of the day, if the scales are dropping, if you're getting stronger in the gym, if you feel better in your energy levels and in how your clothes are fitting, just keep going. Now, if the scales aren't moving, even if you think you're doing everything right, but you don't have the data to back it up, then your problem is simple. You're dodging the work. I cannot even begin to tell you the number of people who have come to me or commented on one of my YouTube videos saying, yeah, but I'm eating healthy now, or I've cut out sugar, or I'm upping my steps, or I'm going to the gym now, but I'm not losing weight, so it doesn't work for me. What do any of those statements even mean? They are so subjective. One person's strong is another person's weak. One person eating healthy is another person's eating junk. If you were a client of mine and you came to me saying, Doug, it's not working, the first thing I'm going to say to you is, show me your numbers, because I am not giving my clients advice based on subjective statements. We need objective data. The brutal truth is, you might be eating healthy 5 days a week and then having a 5,000 calorie binge at the weekend. Or you might be drinking 1,000 calories from Starbucks every single week without even realizing it. Or another one that I see all the time is that the food you think is healthy might not be healthy at all. I see salads that are over 1,000 calories all the time. And this isn't just a problem with your nutrition. You might think that you're doing 10,000 steps a day, but ask yourself, when was the last time you actually looked at your step count? You might think it's 10K when it's actually 6K. Now, in one day, that's not going to make any difference. But over the course of weeks or months, that's going to add up to thousands of missed steps and hundreds of calories you thought you were burning. So if you want real results, track as many metrics as you can and make objective decisions based on real data. You don't have to be perfect, but before you change your plan or blame your genetics, get the data so that you can figure out what's actually going wrong. And listen, the truth is that fat loss is a slow process, and the leaner you get, the harder your body will fight back. But if you're seeing the scales drop, then I promise you, you just have to keep on going. Stick to the basics, track your data, stay consistent, and be patient. But if you're still struggling with all of this and you want some real accountability, faster results, and a proven plan that's built around your life, then click the link under this video and check out how my coaching program can help you get under 15% body fat and ditch the dad bod for good, all without cutting carbs or wasting hours on the treadmill. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.